find a 5p anywhere. But I knew where there was one, in my golden Virginia tobacco tin time capsule buried in the garden. And then R. Kelly pipes up. Marie's got one buried in the golden Virginia tobacco tin time capsule in the garden. So my mother marched me up to the garden at 9 o'clock at night and she made me dig it up, took out the 5p, and that's it, lights on. So I reburied the tin, and that tin is still there in a garden in Leeds. And when it gets dug up by the time team in the next millennium, when everything has been wiped out, so we don't keep anything real anymore, it's just all, on computer, and it'll all be gone in Armageddon, they'll dig it up and open up my tin and think that what was in fact the West Riding of Yorkshire was a land called Esso, ruled over by an emperor called Billy Bremner. I went to a Catholic school. Don't worry, it's okay, I'm all right, nothing's happened. My school hasn't featured in the news yet. All the priests I knew still flying under the radar. I mean, I'm an atheist now, I grew up, but back then, I was a child of God. I was gleaming and pure. I glowed with Catholic goodness. I had an aura around me like one of the Ready Brek kids. But I remember they told us at school that your soul is like a white cotton sheet, really best quality cotton. And every time you sinned, you got a spot of dirt on it. Your soul became filthy and dirty with sin, and the only way to clean it was by going to confession, Jesus' laundrette. I'd come out of confession. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so pure. I am without sin. I'd have my coat unbuttoned, so I've got my soul on display. I'd be like, don't touch me, don't come near me. I am pure. I'd be trying my best all day to be good, and then something would happen. My mother would be like, only one malted stickman biscuit, Marie. I'd be, okay, Mum. Oh, I'll just have one for Ron later on. I'll blame it on R. Kelly. Oh no, I've got a stain on my soul. And you can't just dab it off. You can't get a bit of stain devil for that. Looking on the back, oh God, let's get sin stains out of white cotton soul sheets. I mean, you think stain devil would do the trick. But no, you need confession and you need penance. 3 Hail Marys was the equivalent of a Vanish hot wash on 90 degrees. And the great thing about Catholicism is that everyone is equal when it comes to sin and forgiveness. So, nicking an extra stickman biscuit, scratching my name into a rubber plant leaf or R. Kelly's name so I could pin it on her, murder, go to confession, all is forgiven. But the problem with being a kid and going to confession is you don't commit that many sins. You haven't really got into your stride sin-wise when you're 7. So, we'd be like, God, what are you going to say? I couldn't think of anything. I mean, when God was thinking up the 10 Commandments, he was thinking hardcore, adultery, murder. He did not have Moses carve into the tablet of stone, thou shalt not hide peas in your mashed potatoes. So, we had no idea. We'd just be like making things up. I would be lying in the confessional. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Here are my sins. I didn't do my homework, lie. I didn't feed the rabbit, lie. I looked in Gary Scott's tobacco tin, true. But like the murderer and adulterer in the pew behind me, I still got 3 Hail Marys and an Our Father. And then you'd have to go up to the altar, kneel in front of the crucifix. I mean, thinking about it now, it's crazy. Essentially, an effigy of a semi-naked bloke hanging bleeding from a cross, as if you'd stumbled across something gone very badly wrong in an S&M dungeon. Then whilst you're looking up at the bloke who thought he was in for an afternoon of pleasurable pain, you have to chant your Hail Marys while holding your rosary beads. I mean, anyway, this one time, I could not think of any sins at all. So I panicked, and I went for the big one. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I didn't go to church on Sunday. Silence from the other side of the velvet curtain. I had thought about saying I'd murdered R. Kelly, my sister, not the rapper, but the last minute I'd swerved and gone nuclear. And, in the hierarchy of sins, not going to church on Sunday, that's first degree. So I tried again. Bless me, Father, for I sinned. Here are my sins. I was cheeky to my mum. I didn't set the table. And when I said I didn't go to church on Sunday, what I actually meant to say was I murdered my sister. Nothing. I thought, shit, I've killed a priest. I've shocked him with my confession. Bonus, next time I'll have an actual genuine sin to spill. Anyway, that's it. Decided I needed to exit stage left. So just as I'm backing out of the box, I could feel all these eyes on me. I turned round and there's the entire congregation looking at me at the back of the church. And there's the priest up at the altar saying mass. He hadn't even been in the box. But my 8-year-old self is like, bloody hell, all that Holy Trinity being in 3 places at once bollocks is true. That kept me on board and believing for a few more years. Oh yeah, there's some good things about being a Catholic. Being forgiven for all crimes and misdemeanours with absolutely no consequences for your actions. Thank you, much appreciated. But best of all is when you find out you've got a guardian angel. I still remember the first time I found this out at school. I was sitting on the mat at school, and that space between me and Kevin O'Donnell, really massive, silent lad, a bit like Lenny from Mice and Men, suddenly occupied by my own personal angel. It's a bit like when Whoopi Goldberg gets Patrick Swayze. Like, fantastic, I'm never alone again. And he was an angel straight out of Central Casting, you know, wings, robes, the lot. I'm thinking, not only is he going to protect me from evil, but I'm now invincible. I can't die. I can now walk without worry along this precipitous ledge, because if I fall off, he's going to catch me. I can swim in the deep end, although I can't actually swim. He's not going to let me drown. And when I'm crossing the road, I don't have to bother with all that tufty look right, look left nonsense. I've outsourced that responsibility to him. As you can see, I'm still here. I was very lucky. Or was I? Anyway, you believe any old rubbish when you're a kid. We had a collection at school for the black babies of Africa. That's how we referred to them back then. I mean, this is the time when it was the third world and not developing countries, when you had collection boxes outside shops of full-size little girls holding a collection box with calipers and a Labrador dog beside her, you know, for extra sympathy, just hedging the bets. If you don't feel guilty looking at the begging child, what about the dog? Anyway, I loved collecting for the black babies. You brought in your 1 pence and you got to colour a square on your little colouring thing. And when you filled in 20 squares, you took it to your headmaster. And this is the most amazing thing. He asked you what you were going to call your black baby. So you got to name your baby. So we were actually convinced that he was going to pass on this information. We imagined and we believed that there were all these unnamed babies somewhere in Africa, nowhere in particular, just hanging about waiting for a load of kids in Leeds to save enough 20 pences to give them an identity. You know, there'd be mothers saying, oh, I can't name it yet, I'm waiting to get word from an 8-year-old in Pudsey. Last I checked, she was up to 12 pence. But I was quite considerate with my name choice. I called my baby Catherine. Suitably religious, neutral, and my middle name. I mean, we're practically related. I used to wonder what had happened to Catherine. You know, would she one day come and find me? I'd be on Long Lost Family with Davina McCall. Marie, Catherine's waited all these years to thank you for saving up 20 pence to give her the best start in life. Yeah. But my friend Timothy Marnie, he called his baby Elvis. So as well as wondering what happened to Catherine, I'd be imagining some poor little kid in Africa named after the king of rock and roll. It either went very badly wrong for him or it was the making of him. I went to a Catholic school because my mother is Irish. There's a lot I can tell you about my mother, but that's a whole other show or session in therapy. But what I can tell you is that she didn't like cooking, or should I say, she didn't like cooking anything other than potatoes. I don't know what it is about the Irish, but I'm not being racist because I know there's some personal experience. They have a very odd relationship with potatoes. I don't know whether it's nostalgia or hangover from the potato famine. You know, they didn't have any, so I'm making up for it now. But I don't understand that whole potato famine thing. I mean, if they didn't have potatoes, couldn't they have thought a bit less spud-centric and eaten, oh, I don't know, what do you get loads of when you live on an island? Fish. But no.